What is up, all my bee people out there? Greg the Bee Guy here, and tonight we are going to talk about something that as beekeepers that is near and dear to our hearts, including my own, and that is getting stung. As beekeepers, we absolutely love getting stung, right guys? Or is that just me? Actually, no, we hate getting stung. And today in this video, what I'm gonna do is take you guys through 3 things that we can do as beekeepers, especially beginners and intermediate beekeepers, things that we can do to reduce the chance that we are gonna get stung working with our bees. Now, as we talked about in videos before this, there is really no way to eliminate completely the chance that you're going to get stung, because even if you do everything that we talk about in this video, plus maybe a couple extra steps on top of that, if the bees want to sting you, they will find a way to sting you. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that, and it is not fun. So stay with me. 3 things that we can do as beekeepers to reduce the chance that we are going to get stung. So guys, number 1 in this list is to get to know your bees. Now, on larger apiaries, we have almost 45 hives up here now in this apiary. In larger apiaries, it's kind of tough sometimes to understand what is going on in single hives or multiple hives when it comes to, not going in them. When you're just up in the apiary and you have an aggressive hive, sometimes it's hard to figure out which one it is or what's happening or the reason that it's happening. But when you have a smaller apiary, or you're a beginner beekeeper and you have 1 or 2 or 3, or let's even see a half dozen hives, it's kind of easy to figure out which hive is giving you the problems and which hive is what we call a hot hive or a warmer hive. It might not even be hot. It might just be a little bit warmer, a little bit spicier than some of the other hives. And we're gonna kind of need to figure out what's going on in that hive. So the very first thing that we need to do is learn how our bees are acting. And you can kind of figure that out in 2 different ways. One of the ways is to kind of just observe the entranceway. And if there's a lot of bees coming out whenever you walk by it, or if the bees start to move a little bit faster, or you can kind of tell when they're getting a little bit feisty. It's kind of like being, out at a concert somewhere or something, and you're in a big crowd and things are going on and the crowd starts to get a little bit spicy. You know how you can kind of feel it in the air? Well, the bees are kind of the same way. You can kind of tell by watching the landing board whether that hive is getting aggravated or not by you standing there. And it may be very subtle, and it may take you a while to figure it out. But once you figure it out, you can kind of then avoid that hive, or maybe not do certain things around that hive that aggravate them. Now, the funny thing is about hives like that is you can have a spicy hive or a hot hive that is literally right next to a docile hive that you could actually go in with no PPE on and just go into that hive and work those bees and have no problems. And you go right next door to the very next hive and it is a nightmare. And that has happened to us many times in our apiary. And sometimes it even gets to the point where if you have a hot enough hive that you have to end up euthanizing that hive just because it's just impossible to work around that hive. Now, just a disclaimer, we are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So for you guys that are a little bit further south, it gets a little bit warmer, and especially you guys in Texas and out west where you have Africanized bees and also some of these hybridized bees that are a little bit more aggressive, this doesn't kind of pertain to you when it comes to hot hives. Obviously, that's a story or another video when you have an Africanized colony, and we're not going to get into this video. We're just doing beginner and intermediate beekeeper stuff when it comes to getting stung. Now, another thing is bees will also kind of tell you that they're not happy with you in there most of the time. This doesn't happen all the time, but most of the time the bees will kind of give you a little bit of a warning before they lay you out or light you up or smoke you, or whatever term you want to use as a beekeeper. We kind of have a whole bunch of different terms. But before they smoke you, they will kind of warn you most of the time. Now, I've walked up here and just been stung right off the bat. They don't know, there's no warning or nothing at all. But a lot of times what bees will do is what we call bumping. Now, bees will try to, because of the way they are, and they obviously, when they sting, they die. They're going to do everything that they can to kind of get you out of the area before they actually have to lay that sting out. And what they will do is they will actually come at you and run into you, saying, hey, I don't like what you're doing here, please leave. And they will do that once or twice. You may get 1 or 2 bumps before you get, zapped, lit up, but they will try to get you out of there before they end up doing that. And a good way to tell, there's 2 different things that happen there. Sometimes you'll be in the apiary and you'll just get bumped. And you try to figure out, was that an aggressive bump? Was that not an aggressive bump? And the easy way to kind of tell, or how I kind of do it, is I will kind of face the hives. If you're kind of in the flight path and the bee bumps you in the back of the head as he's trying to get into the hive, that is normally like a normal forager bump. He just ran into you because you were standing there. Now, if you're standing there and all of a sudden you get bumped perpendicular to the hive, so you're standing here like I'm looking at the hives right now, and all of a sudden I get hit from the side, more than likely that is an aggressive get out of here bump. And sometimes, it might happen 2 or 3 times. Most of the time it's once or twice, and then they will light you up if you don't leave that area. So along with bumping, guys, bees have another way of kind of letting you know that they're not happy with your presence. And that's by the sound of how they fly. And again, it's something that you need to kind of learn a little bit to pick up on. It's like spotting those queens for the first time. It's something you have to kind of learn. But you can kind of tell by how they fly past you whether or not they're happy with your presence. And so a normal bee flying by you, is that kind of reactionary, where you feel that bee fly past you and you kind of react to it. And it's just like that medium droning sound. When bees are aggravated, they will have a high-pitched kind of flight. So especially if you're in a bee suit and you've ever had bees on your veil, you can hear that high-pitched wing flapping. It's instead of the where it flies by you. I know my sound effects I'm sure are horrible, but instead of like a sound as they fly by, it's going to be more of a zipping sound, like a and when you hear that, that is them pissed off. So make sure that, you're also listening. Not only are you watching and you're worried, you're watching for the bumping and everything else, that you're listening to how they fly, because that will be a real easy indicator of whether or not they want you out of the area. So if you hear this, you're pretty much good. If you hear you may want to move over a little bit, or you're going to get smoked. So that's number 1, guys, is kind of get to know your bees. It takes a while. It's not an easy thing to do. That's why it's number 3 on the list, because it is something that you have to work at and kind of get used to. And then you will know. There's days that I know, like today, that's why I'm doing this video. I was going to actually do this video up in the hives, but I just figured after getting stung on the back of my neck today, I'd rather not do that. And Brian got stung on the back of his head, so we took 2 stings today. I would rather not go up there and push my luck. So get to know your bees and understand what your bees are doing. That is number 1, or actually number 3, and we're going to go in descending order. So number 3, get to know your bees. And number 2, guys, but before, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and hey, if you can make it to the end of this video, I'm gonna give you guys a extra bonus point that you can use that's gonna be really, really helpful, and it is really a good one, so stay around. I'm gonna try to make this video kind of short, so it's not like this real long 45-minute video. I try to get you guys to the end of this video, so hang around, you're gonna get an extra bonus point. But number 2 is understand what's happening in the environment. And what I mean by that, and this is going to be kind of one that's going to be a little bit easier to explain than the bees. Bees are like us. They like certain temperatures, they like certain conditions, and they get aggravated anytime those conditions change. So the easiest rule of thumb is when they're cold, if it's cold for you, it's cold for them. If it's really hot for you, it's really hot for them, and et cetera, et cetera. So understand what is happening in the environment and plan your hive inspections, plan your honey pools, plan, you know, anything you're doing with the bees or in your bee yard, plan around the weather. So the bees really, really hate cold, which, you know, for us up here, it's like below 50 degrees and below. Make sure you got PPE on. Again, 90 degrees and above and high humidity, like it can be 95 degrees out and you can still be okay in your apiary for short periods of time. But when you add the humidity on top of that, they really get cranky. So anything that's real hot, anything that's real cold, if it's raining, or if obviously if it's raining, you never ever want to go into your apiary and do anything in your hives in the rain. And guys, as I'm suited up to show you the #1 thing that you can do to avoid being stung in your apiary, and that is correct. You guys probably all guessed it, and that was wear your gosh darn PPE. Your suit, your gloves, your boots, your veil, anything else that you might feel. And make sure you zip up too. I know I didn't there, but how many times I can tell you that I didn't zip this and I've had bees in my veil, and you know, there's a little meme out there where there's like the alien, yeah. It's like, you know, if you ever see a beekeeper running through the yard like this and you know, screaming like a little girl, yeah, there's a bee in his veil. So make sure you zip up. Many times, you know, I'm just going in there for 5 seconds, I'll be fine. And all of a sudden I got 3 or 4 bees in my veil, and I can't take the veil out because they're stinging on the, you know, they're trying to get me on the outside. So if I take the veil off, it just turns into a nightmare. So suit up and zip up. And the one thing I want to talk about with PPE is this. It doesn't take that long. There's many different levels. Again, you can have just a veil, you can have a suit, like a jacket and a veil with gloves, you know, and then you just wear like jeans or whatever. Then you can have the full suit like I have on here today. Let me show you. I have the full suit. Look at that, huh? Yeah, that looks good, don't it? So the reason why I like this full suit is because it's super easy to get on, and I guess the jacket would be too, but this is like kind of like a set of overalls, and I bought like a double XL, so it's just really easy to slip on and just go. Like I don't have to tie anything, I don't got to mess with no belt or anything like that. So over the years, I've just kind of gravitated to this. And this is what I use. And then I use just a regular standard pair of beekeeping gloves. I've used some different gloves throughout the years, and the ones that I have that are like the goat skin seem like they're the best ones for me. I like the feel of them. They're real tight to my hands, so I don't have real loose big gloves. But the one thing that I want to kind of add on to wearing your PPE is this. There's a lot of beekeepers out there that don't wear PPE. They don't wear a veil. Some of them don't even wear a veil. Like, you know, they're in their apiary, and you see them on YouTube, you see them on Instagram, you see them on X, and they don't have any PPE on at all. And that is fine. I'm not like sending smoke to any of those beekeepers. If you can do that, great on you. And I am, trust me, I'm in awe of some of you guys. I used to be that guy a couple years ago, and I just really got tired of the 10%, right? So as beekeepers, we know that, you know, if we do those certain things, again, watching the environment and making sure that, you know, you don't have hives that are hot, and you're not going into a hot hive, and you're nice and slow and patient with the bees, that you do still have like that 10 or 15% chance that you're going to get stung no matter what. Well, for me, I just decided that I wanted to reduce that 10 or 15% down to, you know, 1%, and by putting on PPE. So, you know, if that's you, if that's your beekeeper, that's great. The problem that I have, and yes, I might take a little bit of heat from this, and I might take a little slack from this, is YouTube beekeepers and Instagram beekeepers that wear zero PPE and they're going in hives and they're doing cutouts and they're in a swimsuit or they're in a thong or whatever. You know, they're in shorts and a little tank top, and they're doing cutouts and they're doing they're in their hives and whatnot. And that's all, again, you do you. The problem is for new beekeepers and beginning beekeepers, I feel that gives people a false sense of reality and a false sense of security. These beekeepers, guys, if you're a beginning beekeeper, those beekeepers that you see doing that kind of stuff, they've been doing this for years and years and years, and they know what they can do and what they can get away with, and they still get stung. So what we want to do as beginner beekeepers is, number one, don't feel bullied by social media. I've been doing this since 2018, 2019. So this is year six for me. And I'm just like, whatever, I don't even care anymore. I'm going to put, you know, nobody's going to care if I'm wearing a suit. I don't care if I'm wearing a suit, but don't feel bullied or don't feel like you're less of a beekeeper if you don't, you know, go into your hive with just a veil on or just gloves on or whatever. Because in the end, nobody cares, and you have to do what's comfortable for you. And so if you feel like you're scared to go in a hive without PPE on, number one, you might want to get a little bit more comfortable with your bees and, you know, and not have that fear, because that will incite some stings on you, because bees can sense that you're afraid. So it's not bad to get stung a couple times to kind of get over that fear that, you know, well, in most cases, you know, it's not going to be anything traumatic for you. But once you kind of get over that hump and you get stung 5, 10, 15, 100 times, you know, kind of like I feel like I've been stung over the years, at least probably 100 times, it starts to kind of be like, whatever. But I just don't like it. So the number one thing you can do is to wear your suit, wear your PPE, and don't feel bullied, you know, to not wear it. So, number one, guys. All right, guys, so if you've made it this far, as promised, I'm going to give you that bonus point to help you get close to eliminating stings when you're dealing with your bees. And that is what you see right behind me here. And that is, use your smoker. Is it a 100% necessity to use your smoker? No. You can work your bees without a smoker. You have to be very, very calm, very, very relaxed, very slow and methodical, but you can do it. Now, what I would suggest, especially as a new beekeeper, is use the smoker and use it all the time when you're dealing with any of your bees. This will calm them down. Normally, if you don't know how it works, normally what happens is when you smoke your bees have an alarm pheromone that they send out through the hive that kind of quashes the sting pheromone, or that emergency pheromone that it's going to send the bees out of the hive to attack, and the bees will actually start to gorge themselves on the nectar and the honey that's in there. So a lot of times when you do use your smoker and you start pulling frames out, you will see them with their butts out of the cells, and they will be feeding on that resources, because the bees feel like their hive is in a burning tree or in an area where there's going to be an issue that their hive might end up collapsing because of a fire. So they are gorging themselves. So if they have to flee the hive, they will have those resources. And as you can see, my smoker's kind of turning on me. Now, there's many different types of smokers, which we are going to actually do a test on one that we just bought. It's an electric smoker that we just bought, and it works pretty good. And we're going to test some different fuels, but there's all kind of different fuels out there that you can use for your smoker. There's all kind of different smokers out there. This is just your standard, typical, everyday smoker with the little button on the back. And as you can see, I got a pretty good smoke going here with some burlap in there. And some, what we do is we take like brown paper bags and we kind of save them and let them kind of like weather out a little bit in our shed. And then it makes a really nice lasting smoke with that burlap that's in there. But yeah, so this is just your standard everyday smoker that you can buy on Amazon, on eBay. I will put a link down below to the smoker that we use, and also a link down below to the bee suit that I use. Oh, yeah. But guys, the bonus point is always use this, because it's really going to calm them down and it's going to make them very, very docile. Will you still get stung if you don't follow some of the other, the other things that we talked about? You could, and I have. So, even if you do use a lot of smoke, and even if you make sure that you do as much as you can, you're still going to have an opportunity, or they are still going to have an opportunity to sting your buttocks. So guys, that's the video for today. The top 3, or count them, top 4 tips as new beekeepers that you can do to reduce the chance that you're going to get stung. Is it going to end the chances? No, it's just going to reduce the chances that you're going to get stung. And that helps everybody, because if you feel like a little bit more confident because you don't feel like you're going to get stung, then the bees are going to sense that, and you're going to be able to do hive inspections faster. You're going to do all that stuff and messing with the bees. It's going to be faster, easier, and it's going to be more comfortable for you. When it's 95 degrees out here and 100%, or 80% humidity, is it fun to have a bee suit on? Absolutely not. But it is just part of the game that we play as beekeepers. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you've made it all this way, like, subscribe, share this video, comment on this video. It really helps me out. I appreciate all of you guys. And don't tell Brian, but if we can get to 200 subs on this video, or close to on this video, we will have Brian suit up in a thong to go ahead and do a hive inspection. So if you guys want to see that, go ahead and like and subscribe down below. I'm sure he's not going to want to do that, but hey, if we can get 200 subs, I bet you he'll do it. So anyway, guys, Greg the Bee Guy, I'm glad to have you guys here tonight with me. Have a great night, and I will talk to you guys soon. LFG.